Oh, hey, what's up? Is that better? I'm doing fine. How are you doing, man? Sweet. Still figuring all this out. I'm very new.
All right, the Boundless, the Overdogs, and finally, the Socialites. Watch closely, folks. They're ready.
Nice, nice.
Storm Vault 1. Quick cash. It's a mad sprint to the finish. First team to bank our total target gets the glory.
Scotty said it. Let's see who's got the pace to ace this race.
The Socialites are peeling into Vault 1.
We've got our first
Yeah.
elimination of the match.
I have some friends I usually play with, but nobody else is online right now, so it's just me.
I'm so excited right now, I didn't even hear what you said.
It's contagious, Scotty. Let's see where his energy takes us.
The Socialites swooped up a cash box.
Move the cash out, eh?
The Socialites are getting things rolling with the first cash out. Throwing sonar grenade.
Blowing things up!
Outgoing sonar check.
Blowing blue grenade!
First team wiping the bag, and it's a highlight.
The Boundless will be feeling that one for sure.
I don't know. I'm just kind of playing solo right now. Woo. Appreciate it, though.
The Boundless have respawned. Let's see how they bounce back.
They'll be looking for payback. The socialites better watch their step.
Enemy down. What a way to open the match. The Socialites land the first cash out.
Now that's how to make an entrance.
Move to Vault 2. The Overdogs are rejoining the match.
Revenge will be on the menu. The Boundless need to stay sharp.
The Socialites are pushing into Vault 2.
Oh yeah, no worries. Yeah, I don't mind. You're just lurking.
Lights have commenced to cash out.
It's a good game. I got back into it after a while because I had some friends who started playing it. I love this game. It's so good. For being free, you can't really beat it.
They just filed 4 resignations violently. Back in action. Teammates back. I'm back. Smoked out. Getting that area. Great cloud out. Quad kill. Someone's getting promoted. Initiating a scan. Enemy down. Well, the socialites set the trend and clinched the win in this match. Congratulations to our rising stars.
Yeah, I like a little bit longer of a TTK. Lets you play a bit more strategically, I guess. Yeah, sometimes if I feel like I'm not playing super well, like as far as like the super snap decisions and, you know, quick aim and all that, I can still play kind of a more support role in medium or heavy, and I still feel like I'm contributing to the team, which is nice. I've never been big into COD. I've played it a little bit. I've more been a Halo man in my life. But that's cool that you play competitively. That's awesome.
Now, the Overdogs versus the High Notes. Blink fast, shoot faster. This is TDM. Let's go.
Both teams are ready to lock horns in this team deathmatch. Are you ready, Scotty?
Just cracked another us booze, partner. I'm all set. First elimination, statement made.
Got one of them.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. A lot of the longtime fans are kind of not super happy with the direction the game's going in. I played the Modern Warfare remake, the first one, and the amount of pages in the battle pass and, you know, ads and things for the store, it's just like, this doesn't even feel like a game anymore. Problem is, people keep buying it, right? Like, new Call of Duty comes out, it's going to be the best seller for a couple weeks and sell 1 million copies, no matter what they do, because people buy it for the brand. It's kind of like Pokemon, right? I don't know how much Pokemon you've played. I'm also not a like big Pokemon fan, but I've heard something similar where it's like, you know, the games just are kind of stagnating. They're not as good anymore, and all the pro like players and stuff, like they're like, hey, this game's bad. Like, it's got less content than the last games. You know, the graphics aren't good. All these things, and then casual fans are just like, ooh, I see Pokemon, and they buy it. Yep. I think more games should have a. In Rainbow Six Siege, they had an Operation Health, which was basically, we're going to stop making content for a bit and kind of focus on all of the problems people are talking about in the game. And we won't release any new content during that time, but we'll try and, you know, get the game in a good position to where we can release more content. And that was like one of the best updates, you know, games ever had, which is cool. More games should do that. But I know, like, you know, they have to release, you know, live service content in order to stay alive. You know, some of those games are really expensive. Like, Warframe is another game like it. I love Warframe. And people have asked the developers, like, hey, like, why don't you just take a break from making content so that you can, you know, focus on the health of the game? And they're like, it's kind of difficult to, because if they stop creating cosmetics and stuff, then they stop making money, and they can't pay their employees as much. And it's like, that sucks, being in that, like, that close to failure that often. That's true. Game Pass, I have no idea how they can do Game Pass because it's such a good deal. I'm not really sure how it works with the developers. Like, how do they know how much each developer makes for having their game on Game Pass? Like, if 1 million people play your game when it's on Game Pass for free, how much money do you make from that? Because if it's not very much, I mean, it's got to be less than, you know, selling a brand new $70, $80 game. You have to make up that money somehow, and it's probably going to be through microtransactions and such. So, I don't know.
Spotted an enemy.
Just a few more eliminations, and they'll seal the deal.
The Overdogs came out swinging to claim the opener, setting the bar early.
Yep. Yeah, back in the day, you could make all your money from just game sales, but as games get more expensive, you know, like, it's like they want ray tracing and DLSS and all these like crazy, you know, enhancements and stuff, and that makes the game more expensive to develop just because of the fidelity of the assets you're creating. So because the game's more expensive, you gotta pay your developers more, you need to make more money from the game. Da, da, da. I'm not saying it was cheap to make games back in the day. It's just like what was acceptable as far as like graphics and everything was way lower, just because the technology didn't exist. But now, you know, you have crazy high prices on graphics cards and, you know, game design software, all those things.
Overdogs closing ranks. I'm reloading. Got one of them. Squad deleted. No attachments left. Help yourself.
The good news is those quote-unquote old, you know, good old games, they still exist. Like, you know, you can go buy an indie game nowadays for like 15 bucks and it has like hours and hours of content. It's really well made. It's got a great soundtrack, great visuals, and it was made by a team of like 3 people. You know, it's easier now than ever than it's ever been to make a game by yourself or with a small team. Which is really cool, and a lot of people don't realize because those games don't have the budget to like, you know, put ads in the Super Bowl and stuff. But it's like, you know, if you go play Hollow Knight or Risk of Rain, you know, those are amazing games. They're very cheap and are much better than a lot of the like AAA stuff coming out. I don't know if I completely agree with that. I know a lot of people kind of had their eyes open to sort of a lot of problems that were already existing in the world around, you know, COVID and stuff. But I don't know if it actually has gotten worse or if just people have become more aware how bad it's always been. I don't know for sure. I'm not an expert by any means, but I think things have kind of always been bad. At the same time, they've always been good. And it's just people's awareness of that has changed, right? Like social media, the news, it's more profitable to report on bad news, right? You're gonna make more money if you report on bad news. If you say everything's fine, no one's gonna watch your program.
The high notes leveled the game. Let's see who's still singing at the end of the match.
Yeah, and I mean, it's always kind of been like that for news, at least. At least as far as like when companies started hiring people to like analyze, like, oh, what pieces of news bring in the most viewers and therefore the most money, not necessarily, you know, what do people actually need to know. And also social media, of course, like analytics and everything, like that's a huge part of what drives those corporations to make the decisions they do, right? Which sucks, because it's like, you know, I'd rather have news that's useful to me than news that scares me. That's part of why I don't watch the news. But I get why they have to do it. It's like, you know, companies started making billions and billions of dollars, like, you know, Apple and Amazon and all them, and it's like, we need to do what they're doing. Every company thought, you know, we need to do what they're doing. I worked at an electronics company for a while, and that was all that our CEO would talk about is like, look at this thing Apple did, we need to copy that. And it's like, well, we're not Apple. You know, we're a different company with different goals and different product. But he thought that if he copied their business strategy, then they'd make the most amount of money. And I think that's true of a lot of big companies. And some of them may be right, but for the most part, I think your strategy should be tailored to your company and not your competition, basically. But yeah, people definitely get addicted to it, right? Like, you know, we all have relatives that it's like, oh, sit around the Thanksgiving dinner table and talk about what, you know, the other political party has said recently. And it's like, is that all you care about? Like, you know, things to get angry about, basically? And it's like, that's not really how I want to live my life. You know, start my day with, oh, look at all these things that make me mad. Yeah, the most attention, exactly. The most eyes on you. I hate that mentality of it. It's like, you know, the more views we get, then that's all that matters. Because the more views, the more statistically chance that people are going to buy our product or click on our thing. It's like, yeah, but that's annoying for the people who don't want to see it, you know. It's the adpocalypse, you know. YouTube, for example, they started by running, you know, an ad every now and then it's an ad every video, and then it's an ad several times during the video, and now it's that and, you know, sidebar ads and mid-roll ads and all these crazy things, and it's like, it's all in the name of getting more people to look at your product, and it's like, just too much. The good news is it's not all doom and gloom, right? Like we were talking about earlier, the news wants you to believe that, but I think that things are actually as good as or better than they've been in the past. Like I said, you know, the example of indie games, that's true of a lot of different things, right? Like because of social media, it definitely has a lot of negatives, but one of the good things is anybody can sit down and like start talking about things, right? And if you're an unbiased, you know, creator that's motivated only by just like trying to do a good job at your job, you can create wholesome, you know, good content that still is popular, it still makes you money, but isn't like so deathly motivated by progress that you know, sacrifice your integrity. Which is pretty cool. I like that.
The Overdogs wag their way to victory in this team deathmatch, proving they're the top dogs of the arena.
That's kind of what I want to be if I ever make it big in streaming or YouTube or whatever it is. I don't want to be... I don't want to sell out. You know? I don't want to sacrifice my morals and my integrity for, you know, a paycheck, essentially, or a bigger paycheck. Anyway. I would like to make some money from streaming and stuff, but, you know, I don't want to sell out, basically. I say that now. I don't know, you know, what it's going to look like in several years, you know, people say like fame and money changes you. I really hope that that's not the case with me, but I don't know. I gotta say, you're being a stream from I don't know. I have thoughts about things and I think about things a lot, maybe a little too much. So I appreciate that. You're pretty awesome too. Yeah, exactly. It's like, would I run extra unnecessary ads for a few $1,000s more a month? Like, I don't know. Like, it's easy for me to say no now because it's not like real and in front of me. But it's like, well, I don't know. If that happened, I honestly don't know exactly how I'd respond. I think up to a certain point, it would be like it's diminishing returns, right? Like the first $1,000 you make is difficult but necessary, right? Like that's how much you need to like cover rent and expenses and things. And then the next $1,000, some amount of that is going to be kind of fun money or savings or quote unquote, you know, disposable income. And I think the disposable income is less attractive than the first $1,000 for stuff you need. Exactly. If you really need that money, like if you have medical bills or, you know, you need to pay for medication or you're in debt, you're paying off student loans, that money is a lot more important. Whereas if you're just kind of saving and you're kind of doing okay, you know, already, you're less likely to really depend on that money.
with their calculated play.
I think if you are smart about how you monetize your channel and your content, you can still make money without like compromising. There's a channel I really like on YouTube called Fact Fiend, and they basically create articles and then kind of like talk about the topic. It's usually like games or movies or comics, and they make almost all their money from their Patreon. They don't really do sponsors or ads. And in fact, they've gone as far as to like go, YouTube automatically added ads to their whole backlog. And they paid one of their assistants to go through and manually remove each ad because they were so annoyed that YouTube would do that. Because they don't want to run ads. And so they make all their money from their Patreon and from very few ad sponsorships where it's like, and it's always something that they would want to buy themselves, right? So it's like, here's this guy who makes like really cool 3D printed statues of like dragons and stuff, and it's like, this is really cool. I'd buy one of these. So I'm gonna, yeah, I'll you know, let him sponsor me and like, you know, show off some of his work. And the channel has a ton of views, so the guy made like a ton of money from that sponsorship, and he reached out to him and he was like, hey, like, I really appreciate it, you know, there's a bunch of cool free dragons as a thank you. And they're like, oh, that's awesome. You know, it isn't like Audible where it's like, oh, you know, you can't even mention like that physical books exist and you better say these exact words or else, you know, you're not getting our sponsorship money. And it's like, yeah, okay, I don't know if I want to be sponsored by these people.
Clean sweep dirty intentions.
Money on hold. Take it down. Shot that.
Special delivery. Toss the frag. This is like a pop-up runway show lighting up the arena. Setting a mine. Gas mine deployed.
No, that makes total sense.
And still not even breathing hard. Poison en route.
It's compromising when you don't really need to. Or are you talking about, yeah, those channels I was talking about. You can make a compromise of making money without selling out, essentially. There's another channel I like, Matt Colville. He's a D&D YouTuber. One of the early, like, basically, he's been playing D&D forever, and he's really smart, and he's a professional writer for a game design company. He's awesome, but the way he makes most of his money is through, he's an author, he sells books. So he says, if you want to support me, go buy my book on Amazon. Or he's also, you know, a D&D creator, so he'll make, you know, like D&D modules, books, and also books that you can buy. And he's like, go buy my book to support me if you want. I'm not going to run ads, and I'm not going to beg for money or donations or anything. It's like, you know, I want you to get something for your investment, basically. And it's like, yeah, I like that.
Set the trend in this team deathmatch, capturing the win with stylish plays and flair.